What's going on, guys? It's Tetrosphere. I just got home from work, changed, made a coffee. We're going to go ahead and jump on in to some gameplay from another case tournament that was held at GalaxyBusterTCG, this time for Quarter Century Stampede. And we are going to go ahead and hop right in. We've got Odion on the right, and I do believe Blue Eyes on the left. Starting out with Anubis, pitch to search. I believe this grabs Man with the Mark. There he is. That's him. Normal summon, and we are going to go ahead and imperm, denying the search, but we had field spell anyway. That feels bad. I didn't catch which Apophis trap that was, but likely it's the one that searches the other. Looks like we set... That might have been Temple of the Kings. So that way we control 2 spells or traps, just so we can go ahead and search that circuit. Circuit can then summon itself by banishing a level 10 or higher monster from the deck. Typically Nib or Anubis. There's the Nib. And now we're going to go Circuit effect. I believe this adds... Yep, there it is. Temple of the Kings. Or was it another copy of the field spell? They kind of look similar. It was hard to tell. But we are going in for a Link 2 play using Circuit and Man with the Mark for Moon of the Closed Heaven, which we're going to immediately link off into Requiem, which we're going to immediately tribute to activate its effect to summon a Fiendsmith monster from the deck. Lacrima hits the board, and we're going to trigger her effect to Foolish, sending Engraver to the graveyard. Considering our next play is Blake, looks like Engraver is going to shuffle back Moon of the Closed Heaven to summon himself, but we will activate Ghost Bell to negate that, keeping the Engraver off the field. Now, we do have the option to Requiem equip to Lacrima to make Necro equip. This will put Requiem and Lacrima in grave, keeping that... keeping that play online for our opponent's next turn. We can send Paradise. And looks like we are summoning Necroquip in defense to the extra monster zone. There's the Temple of the Kings. Okay, so we did search Treasure of the King off of Circuit. This will allow us to activate Apophis the Serpent the turn it was set. And Stoddard has seen enough. He said, that's way more than full combo. Through 2 hand traps. We're going to go ahead and just call it a game, live to fight another day. Especially against a deck like Odion, and especially against a deck like Odion when you're playing a deck like Blue Eyes, where your deck isn't exactly explosive either. You want to have that time on your side, and when you've already gone neg 2 from the Ghost Spell and the Imperm, I think that it just makes sense once you see what your opponent has going on. You pretty much got all the information you could possibly ask for there. You know he's on the Fiendsmith variant. So you pretty much know exactly what to expect here. That was in my opinion, I mean, I didn't necessarily see the other cards in Alex's hand. I wasn't paying that much attention to know. But, you know, if you're looking at the 3 cards in your hand and you feel like you have all the information you might need from your opponent, that's just when you scoop. You know what they got going on. You know your 3 cards is not going to beat their full board. Live to fight another day. Very, very, very good scoop there. Kind of an underrated technique in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is knowing when it's appropriate to just call it. You'd rather have the clock on your side in games 2 and 3. Ooh. Alright, just wrapping up our siding on the side of Blake there. The other thing is, Blake does not necessarily know that Alex is on Blue Eyes. He might know, or at least suspect it just from, like, you know, knowing that typically he's on Blue Eyes, but you can't be 100% sure. He could have brought something different today. So you don't have, like, the absolute knowledge of what you're going against. You only have the good hunch that you're going against Blue Eyes at the best case. Another reason to scoop at a time like that, as opposed to trying to play into a board that, you know, you can't beat. Alright, players are sided, shuffled, decks have been offered. Game 2 is about to be underway. 5 cards drawn. I got Purge, I got Judgment, I got Wishes, I got Maiden for the side of Alex. Didn't quite get a good look at Blake's hand. Looks like he's got Man and a couple traps. We are going to start off with the Molcharmi Fualos. Decent, but not horrible. I do believe that this deck has no problem putting up, like, Seal's Drill Beam. Maybe even, especially with the Maiden, especially, you know, True Light in the back row as well. So, that's a pretty great setup, giving your opponent only one draw. Plus, we know Alex drew a couple hand traps and the Solemn Judgment to back up. I don't think he's too worried about this Fualos at all. Now, the question is, I think we go True Light here to set Wishes, and then discard our other Wishes. Okay, so we're just going to go right for Roar, which is a little unfortunate because that's going to give the draw for Fualos. Maiden's going to come out, and then assuming we Synchro, that's going to be 2 draws. Okay, so we're not going to go for the Synchro play right there. We just wanted to get it set up, have some kind of defense established. Looks like we're going to go Anubis to add. This could be something we purge, but we're going to let it go. Making his second appearance of the match is the Man with the Mark. Added to Blake's hand. Blake just verifying Maiden's effect when targeted. I don't think that's particularly relevant right now. I do think Alex just wanted to have some defenses set up to survive the turn, backed up by his hand traps and his Solid Judgment plus the True Light card advantage generation. Here comes Man with the Mark, which we are going to affect Valor. So we do still have Dominus Purge available, plus that Solemn Judgment. Okay, so we're going to set a card. Not a great angle on Blake's hand, so I'm not really seeing exactly what's coming down. But it seems like we did not have a way to continue to play, so we did pass it back to Alex. And I'm guessing in the end phase here, we activated True Light to set a card, and it looks like we're setting Wishes. Okay, so that 3 back row can be pretty scary. But we have a couple cards in hand. We have that Wishes set. Not sure what phase we're doing this in, but we are summoning an Apophis Trap. These are pretty difficult to distinguish. So I'm going to guess that this might be the one that negates a card, or it's the one that searches the one that negates a card. And if it is the one that negates a card, then the Chain Link 2 will likely be... Okay, so that is, in fact, the one that searches, which we just let go. Alex having some pretty terrifying back row of his own. Blake knows that one of those is Wishes, but I don't think he knows what the other 2 are. Looks like we're going to go main phase and first action Synchro for 9 into Lightstorm Dragon. I do believe this pops cards up to the number of normal monsters in your grave plus 1. So if I'm not mistaken about that, this is going to be a pop 2. And we're just going to chain Imperm. And that was in the same column as True Light, so True Light is also currently offline. We could chain it to get some value out of it before the Imperm resolves, negating the column. But it looks like in response to that, we're going to go ahead and summon Apophis the Swamp Deity, or at least attempt to, but that is going to get hit with Solemn Judgment. And then True Light to summon, and then Imperm is going to Imperm the Lightstorm Dragon. Now, because Blue Eyes was summoned, Maiden, of course, is going to trigger. And now we have material for another Synchro 9, or even a Synchro 10, between the Lightstorm and the Maiden. Blake on just 2 cards in hand and 1 more set. We have another Apophis, the Swamp Deity. And, of course, using the Apophis to negate wishes. So, we've chewed through the negates. One of them took us a Solemn. The other one we just kind of had to eat. We do have 1 card in hand. Like I said, access to another Synchro Summon. I'm not sure what that set card is myself. It looks like Purge is still our card in hand, so that wasn't what was set. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and banish Wishes. I believe this is the one that will equip. Yes, so now the Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate is equipped to Blue Eyes, and we are going to go ahead and contact Fuse for Tyrant. Tyrant will, of course, be able to attack all of these monsters, and then Lightstorm can attack directly. At whatever point, a trap can also be reset by Tyrant. So I do believe it is literally any trap. So that Solemn Judgment could be back online here as soon as we get into the battle phase. So we will go ahead and attack Man. And in the damage step, we are going to set that Solemn Judgment. And then we're going to go ahead and run into, at least I would assume we're going to go ahead and run into those other traps. I don't see a reason not to just clear those out. And then direct with Lightstorm. For 27. Now we're going to go main phase 2, and now it looks like a Synchro 10 is online for... Oh, we synchro with Tyrant. Right, okay. I was thinking, the math wasn't mathing for me for a minute there. Okay, so we synchro with Tyrant for Spirit. Lightstorm's still on the field. Spirit is now in play, which can negate a graveyard effect. And, of course, Tribute to float into the ultimate Spirit Dragon, which is a field negate. Alright, so Anubis here is going to shuffle back those 2 traps with different names to summon himself. This is an inherent summon. It does not activate, so Spirit will not interact with this. Alex just taking a look at Anubis here to make sure he understands how the card interacts. And we're looking at 3 cards in hand. Ooh, we're thinking about whether or not we Judgment the summon. That's what's on Alex's mind right now, because Judgment could stop this summon. Yeah, we're just verifying here. Spirit does not interact with this. It negates an effect that activates in the grave. And I mean, I better double check it myself, but I'm almost 100% sure that Anubis is an inherent summon. Yeah, Anubis' summon condition is inherent, so Solemn Judgment would interact with it, but Spirit would not. And we have another Anubis in hand that we can pitch to search Man with the Mark, but that is going to get hit with Dominus Purge. No search. We do have one in hand already. We're going to normal summon it with which Judgment can negate. We're down to one card in hand, Anubis on the field. Typhon is online if we decide to go that route. Alex is in a commanding position here because True Light is also, of course, online. And it looked like we used Lightstorm Dragon's effect when sent to grave to reset a spell or trap, and I didn't catch if it was Purge or Judgment. Worth pointing out that you must control a normal monster to activate the card set by Lightstorm's effect. And we do end up summoning Typhon. And we are going to use Typhon there to bounce Spirit. True Light is going to go ahead and summon out the Vanilla Blue Eyes, which is then going to trigger Maiden to summon herself. So now we just need a way to out this Typhon, and we're looking pretty good. Lordly Low, definitely not a bad way to get into it because we can't. I think we just add Drill Beam here because Barrel will set Drill Beam. Drill Beam was already online by us controlling the Blue Eyes, right? Unless, of course, that's what we already have in hand. No, there's the Drill Beam, which we are deciding to set. That was all Blake needed to see. Once again with the well-timed scoop. You did what you could with the Typhon there, but once you got access to the Primite side of your engine, it's pretty difficult. Plus, at the end of the day, that Blue Eyes could just run over the Typhon anyway, and then in main phase 2, reestablish complete control of the game. I think you'd be drawing into like 2 cards at that point. Not great. Plus, you know the Judgment's online. At least, I'm assuming that's what was set off a Tyrant. So, we're moving into Game 3, where Blake will once again have the option of going first. We do see those good going second power spells like Harpy's Feather Duster and Lightning Storm coming in on the side of Alex. Blake, presumably going to go a bit heavier on the trap side. Going to see a lot of Magenta on the side of Blake. Molcharmy's coming out. Looks like Alex decided to keep Nibiru in. You do know with the Fiendsmith side, you might be playing into that, and you might not be making Caesar. They might be making Desiree, just depending on how Blake likes to play that side of the engine. Sometimes you might feel a little safer just making Desiree because you might not suspect people are going to bring Nib into this matchup. So that could be something that Alex is able to take advantage of here. And it looks like he's thinking that Nib is going to be very strong here because it looks like he took a third Nib out of the side deck and is planning on putting that in the main deck. Didn't see what he took out for that, but yeah, he has gone up to 3 Nibirus, definitely feeling like that's going to be a powerful tech here. It looks like he kept Joel and Lockbird out. I'm a little surprised by this, because I do feel that Joel and Lockbird is quite good into this matchup, especially with the Fiendsmith engine. But, of course, it is his decision, and there's a reason he's on camera, and I'm right here talking about him being on camera. Alex, no stranger to the top tables at Galaxy Buster. Decided to go in for one more pile shuffle before Blake gives it the old cut. And let's see how Blue Eyes plays into this Odion end board post side. We do have our Veiler, we have our Nib, we have our Purge. that looks like double Purge plus Sage. So plenty of hand traps and a normal summon. And it looks like we're going to go first action tracked on the side of Blake. Attempt Lurry. Lurry is successful. The Valor Nibiru combination here is going to be extremely powerful because this means that even if Blake does go for Caesar as opposed to Desiree, Nibiru is still online. Man just has to wait very patiently for the right moment to strike. Because of course, as we're aware here, we have yet to use our normal summon on the side of Blake. It looks like we shuffle back that Lurry to summon Engraver from Graveyard. This is going to bring Caesar to the table if we decide to go with that instead of the Link 2 into sequence. Looks like we have Thrust in the hand of Blake. So once we decide to nib, that will be a powerful counterattack. Could likely set something like Dimensional Barrier or Different Dimension Ground. Both are generally decent, if not phenomenal, against Blue Eyes, and it does look like we go for the Link 2, but not sequence. We are in fact going for Silhouette Rabbit. So we feel pretty safe Valoring right here, but that Valor is going to be met with a Call by the Grave. So Rabbit will set an Apophis Trap. And we're going to go ahead and set or activate Temple of the Kings, allowing us to activate the Apophis Trap right off the rip, which will allow us to set the Swamp Deity Apophis Trap. It can be activated this turn. And it looks like on activation, or rather on summon, we're going to attempt Nibiru. And this is going to fly, so that is going to keep Blake off of a rank 4. So now we have the double Purge and we have the Sage plus our top deck. Blake has Ash Blossom and... oh, what I thought was Thrust. That's actually Droplet, isn't it? Alright, so we're going to go ahead and normal summon Sage, which I do believe on normal summon adds a level 1 Light Tuna. Blake has the option of hitting this with Ash Blossom. However, might not be the best time considering Sage and Nibiru would still be on the board, leaving Alex with plenty of options for going into some Link plays. And it looks like we are going to respond with Ash and then also Lacrima effect to shuffle herself back and summon Requiem. Requiem is then going to trigger, or activate rather, to tribute itself, summon Lacrima, at which point Lacrima, of course, can Foolish the Fiendsmith in Paradise trap. So Blake does now at least have another interaction online. Which is going to make committing into a Link play a little bit riskier. Alex does have that Wishes and 2 Purge in hand. So Wishes, of course, can make use of that redundant Purge to get a little bit more value in the hand. And we know Ash Blossom has already been used. And it looks like in this case now, Blake has no cards in hand. So that set card could, in theory, be something like Purge of Blake's own. But otherwise, we feel pretty safe going with Wishes. Is that Wishes or is that Mausoleum? Now I can't quite tell. That might actually be Mausoleum already. Which, if that's the case, that is not nearly as good as I thought. I thought that was Wishes at first, but now on second glance, it looks like it is the Field Spell. Not a tremendous pickup. At all. So we need to link into something that is going to give us some value, even if it's removed from the field. Looks like we're going to go Field Spell, target Nib to dump a Blue Eyes. What is the play here? We're considering doing something with that. Okay, so we're going to go into the battle phase and crash into the Lacrima. Now we're going to go main phase 2. For Lina. This, of course, could prompt the Fiendsmith in Paradise play on the side of Blake. And it does. So, Desiree is going to go from extra deck to grave and then shuffle some other Light Fiend back to target the Lina and send it to grave. And it looks like we're shuffling back Lacrima. Okay. And it looks like we have a Purge set and a Purge in hand. Alright, Blake has the top deck. He has, I believe, that is Droplet set. I don't think... He does have an Engraver, so that can shuffle back, get some plays going. We can go ahead and link that off right into Requiem. Requiem can summon. Lacrima can once again send a card from deck to grave. Looks like we're going to go ahead and go with another Engraver. We can go ahead and link into sequence using the token and the Lacrima if we so desire. And I believe we have plenty of material engraved to make a Desiree. But we will go ahead and equip the Requiem to the Lacrima and summon Circuit. It does appear to me that Blake has taken a pretty commanding position here. We can attempt the Dominus Purge, but now we have nothing on the field and just the redundant Purge in hand. All Blake has to do is put up lethal. I do not know the stats of this token. Is this game? It was the rabbits and the 2 traps. Which I believe the rabbit's pretty small, but the traps aren't nothing. This, with the Circuit and the Lacrima, I think this is lethal. I don't know that we have anything. And there it is, offers the handshake. It was a good game. Sometimes you just don't get the cards you need. Unfortunately, that was the field spell, not the Wishes. Wishes obviously would have been much preferred there. We had the Droplet anyway, says Blake. Great game to watch, great game to commentate. I had a good time there. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching it as well. Thank you so much for checking out. I will see you all in the next one. Peace.